Alright, it's real simple. We're going to be using burial arrows. You can craft them out of normal vanilla arrows and this soul powder from cork. And the soul powder from cork, you make it out of soul sand, 3 soul sand, and 1 magma cream. And magma cream you can make out of blaze powder and slime, or get them from mob drops from like map cubes. And of course, should be pretty obvious where you get blaze powder from and also slime balls from. So it's pretty easy to make this with just vanilla ingredients. And what's the trick we're going to do? Well, I'm just going to use burial arrows. That's about it. As you can see, the burial arrow turns in the blocks that are right under an entity that is hit by the arrow into gravity of blocks. So that's going to be our way to grief the arena. And here's a pretty easy way to do it if you have a flying mount. This is an option to do it without showing the other method. So I'm going to show it off that you can do it in survival. Just aim for about the head of your thing, and now that turned into gravity blocks and that fell. Well, this isn't Rahovart yet. So let's just switch back to creative. I don't really want to go around my rock. Let me turn on hitboxes to show something in particular. Oh, I actually want to do this with an armor stand first. I'll also show you that instead of a flying mount, you could actually just place down a armor stand and shoot it. That'll have the same effect, but it'll only affect 1 block. Rahovart is the only box where we can't use an armor stand, because I'll show you here when I summon him. With hitboxes on, we can see the summoning fire is this big. I believe this will burn, do damage, and also purge potion effects. We can't place armor stands up to it. And when Rahovart spawns, we will see that his actual hitbox, general hitbox, is smaller than this armor stand. So it's hard to place. I can't place another armor stand here. But generally, even this far away or this size hole isn't the best. But we can still use a mount. I'm going to show you for Morok now. But I'm going to stay in creative because Rahovart's attack can purge effects, so it's going to just clear my creative effects that keep me alive. So aim for about the head or neck of your mount. It'll do the gravity blocks. I haven't cleared the floor underneath here. I could show off that though, an option. Generally, I would recommend building your arenas above in the air, or in case of the nether, above the nether roof. But in case you can't do that, let me give... Oh, my effects already got purged from the spawning flame. In case you can't do that, I also need invisibility so nothing attacks me while I switch back into survival. I'm in invisibility, game mode. I actually want regen to S. Game mode S. And right now I'm affected by, I'm in the range of the anti-grief. I can't break blocks, I can't place blocks. But I could place armor stands and shoot armor stands with burial arrows. Another option to help clear out the arena is, this is a known one from cheesing 4 tower dungeons. Even with anti-grief around, you could still break blocks with TNT arrows. This'll work. Alright, so that's about the options I explained. The other 2 bosses are easier because we can just go up to the spawning flame, place down an armor stand, and then shoot it. And now I'm going to show off those examples now. Oh, also an important note, besides the general requirements to summon the boss, is Rahovart, I don't think, has any form of regen, so you could just use any weapon. Recommend reach, or like natural reach from the weapon, like a pike with reach 2, or quality giving extra range like the long quality or masterful. And then bow, you can be You just need a bow that can shoot arrows. I'm using the vanilla bow here. Your option to flying mount or any of the Lycanites flying mounts, because those are easy to move around. You could also use the potion of flight. That works perfectly fine too, but of course you can't shoot yourself. You would have to use an armor stand, and potion of flight is our only option in the Lost Cities. For the other two bosses, I believe they have forms of healing, so that in turn makes the boss fight, even though you're cheesing it from underneath the arena, it's going to turn it into a DPS check. So for these examples, I'm going to use a Supreme Sharp 5 and Rune Piercing 4 on these two weapons that if I ever use them, and in case I need to kill mobs for like Asmodeus, because his minions will create a shield and you need to kill those minions. You can still fly around out of aggro range of Asmodeus, and I just have an advanced power 5 bow for that. And that should be about it. If you remember how to get Lycanite mounts, flying mounts, that should be pretty standard, but in case you need potion of wings, you just craft it out of thick potions which use bone mushroom spores, which you can get from the nether. These are generated on bone structures in the nether. You have to find bone skeletons there of those bone blocks. Then the other part of potion of wings is pixie dust, which spawns from familiar fauna of pixies in Flower Forest. And that should be about it for the prep you need. I'll show off the examples and just full leather armor and invisibility just to avoid all other mob aggro. I will provide world downloads for all of these where you can access using a warp stone and or waste stones that teleport everywhere. And starting here, I'm going to clear the floor here, give myself some potion to spawn in the altar here. That's pretty easy to set up. I have my potion effects, which is heat resistance, invisibility, and then strength 2 from potion rings. I'll show off my equipment at the end of the clip here. As you can see with my Morok, it was in that fire and burning, and I'm just going to wait for Rahovart to spawn here. I'm going to do an inferior setup here where I will get off the Morok and shoot it. As I shown in the previous clip, you could just shoot the Morok itself. This is before I learned that you could do that, but I'm fine here. In this situation, I didn't build it too far off the floor, so I didn't take too much fall damage, but if you stayed on the mount, you would not fall off. And here is the point where the boss fight becomes a joke, and why I would recommend invisibility. As you can see, I can just keep hitting Rahovart from underneath there, but sometimes when the mobs fall down, invisibility just drastically reduces the range that mobs can aggro to you, and so some of these basic minions have aggroed on me and I've shot a little bit. But that's pretty easy to deal with, and now I'm back at it, just swinging at Rahovart with diamond nunchucks. And that's going to be it pretty much. None of the Rahovart's attacks can really do anything to us underneath the arena. The biggest threats are any of his summons from any of his phases. The phase 1 demons that he spawns aren't really threatening, and similar to the phase 2 ones where the bigger demons that he summons still aren't pretty much a problem, and which we reduce with just potion of visibility. And as you can see, his minions, when you attack Rahovart, he tries to call them to help attack you, but they can't see you. They only try to pathfind to where you're at, and they just fall down the hole. The biggest threat would be potentially wraiths flying down, because those are the biggest things that could jump scare you and do an explosive attack in your face pretty quickly if they decide the wraiths are the flying skulls, and if they could pretty easily just decide to attack your head and kill you there. But as you can see, we just easily kill Rahovart from here. I'll just let the clip play on and comment if anything is necessary. Okay, this is probably the hardest thing in the Rahovart fight from underneath the arena. This visual fire that happens in phase 3, I believe. It clips through the arena at some angles and just kind of just messes with your visuals. So it might be a little tricky trying to find where Rahovart is again, where you could just cheese him from the arena. But I kill him here. And I'll see some wraiths decided to come down, but I backed off before they decided to attack me. Fly around a bit and whatever. And I need to finish him off, it would seem. As you can saw that very quickly, Rahovart did a shot. He can still angle through and shoot through this Morok-sized hole. and you might want to be careful flying around underneath here too, but we could still look for his hitbox to attack, and there he is. Rahovart is dead. And then the drops would be perfectly fine. Another Wraith comes down, Flying Skull, and I just need to switch my game modes around to show off that the drops are there. Yep, switch back to creative, and I fly up here with hitboxes on to show you that all the drops are here and XPs are here. That's sorry for the cut, but I forgot to show off my equipment in the clip. Let's see what I do. Oh yeah, I can't show off my baubles in creative, so I just set it to peaceful. And you should set it to peaceful anyways to respawn the boss. I'm wearing only 2 potion rings, leather armor here just with random qualities, and this altar summoning stuff, and diamond nunchucks with just the supreme sharp and rune piercing, and a bow with advanced power 5 on it. And that's about it for my equipment here, besides the heat resistance and the invisibility. I guess I'll switch off back to creative, and I'll just show off the commands in these command blocks. This set looks like it recreates the altar, I believe. And then this next set just gives me potion effects, which would be just invisibility and heat resistance. And then this one just clears off the floor of this demon stone. Alright, next is Asmodeus in the outer end, and I'm here with a Raikou and doing the same. Give me potion effects, which is just invisibility and cold resistance, and then I reset the arena altar here, just spawn it there, and now I'm spawning him, and I'm going to use the armor stand trick. I just need a tiny hole here, and just try and place it without going in the fire. As you can see, that's burning there. And I'm just going to show off in this clip just flying away from the arena and just getting underneath from there. This is one option. And now Asmodeus has spawned, and we could just hit him through the floor here. Phase 1 is pretty simple, just attack through the floor. I'm looking on the ground for where the aberrant stone blocked, and I attack at a bad angle, and as you can see, Asmodeus was shooting there, but if I find a better angle to go at, I can attack Asmodeus without getting shot back, and this is it. Now this is pretty self-explanatory here. Phase 1 is nothing special, just find your hole and attack Asmodeus through it. So now we're on to phase 2 of Asmodeus, and he has summoned minions that shield him, where we cannot deal damage to him anymore until those minions are killed. I'm just gonna try and kill one and damage the other to mess up the cycle of his summons, so he doesn't immediately resummon them by the time we get back down there. This is going to be the DPS check, and this will depend on your weapon and damage effect setups in order to DPS down Asmodeus through phase 2, so that you could get through his shield. Sometimes you might need a few shield cycles, but you just repeat the same as this, where you just kill the minions and you try to cycle it. I don't know the exact cycle timing, so that you can kill the minion and he won't immediately resummon it and bring his shield back up. I'm just going to show here that with that other minion still alive, he is shielded and I can't attack him. I look for the hole again by looking at the block that dropped on the ground. Am I even? Yeah, I try and attack and didn't deal damage. So now that I've wasted some time, and hopefully that Asmodeus is now off cycle, I can fly back over the wall. And then I would be able to start hitting Asmodeus again. Yep, I killed the minion, and as you can see, his shield dropped, and he didn't immediately resummon minions to shield him again. And so I have free time to damage Asmodeus. If you time it wrong, or just get a bad cycle, Asmodeus might just resummon his minions with the shield up. But fortunately, with my potion rings of strength, 2 of them, and my enchants on this diamond nunchucks, which is supreme sharp 5 and rune piercing 4, I should be able to damage him through phase 2. And just a note, in case Asmodeus, you possibly aggro Asmodeus while in the arena, he might move around to fixed points in the arena, which you can just wait until he returns to the center of arena, because he doesn't move around like a normal mob, he just moves around at fixed points. And I think did the shield drop here again that I'm going out to check out. But for in general, yeah, his shield came back up. In general, Asmodeus will, if he leaves the center of the arena, he will return to it eventually. Else, if you never aggro him while in the arena, he won't move from the center at all. So that's something. In this example, it seems I just go... Do I just go straight to killing? Yeah, I just go straight to killing all of his minions with my vanilla bow with just advanced power on it. I fly back under my Ryko to my hole to attack Asmodeus with. Yeah, look up. And start damaging him until phase 3, I believe. Alright, phase 3 changes it where Asmodeus will no longer shield him, and as we can see a little bit that the Trites are trying to come in through the hole, but Asmodeus' hitbox actually has collision, which is pushing away mobs, so they can't really get down this hole to attack me anyway. So, and he also summoned Grells too. Grells are able to see through invisibility, but they spawn inside the arena, so as long as we're underneath the arena, they're not gonna bother us. So, and with that, we have killed Asmodeus. And pretty much nothing was really threatening. The only tricky thing we had to do was deal with his phase 2 shield, which we just came up from a couple times to kill his minions that provide the shield. I'm showing here that I have only 2 potion rings of strength. I have leather armor on. I show off my summoning stuff. I dummy nunchuck with the enchants I described. Bow with advanced power, which I used to kill his minions that shielded him. And that's about it. I should... Well, it looks like I'm going to show off the commands first. No, what am I doing in this clip? I guess I'm showing off the drops first. I turn on hitboxes to show that the drops are here. XP and Asmodeus drops are here. And you can see all of his Asmodeus' minions that he spawned, all the Trites and the flying Grells. And they didn't bother us all in the fight at all. And pretty much the same thing as the Rahovart command blocks. Pretty much clear the arena floor, summon the summoning altar, and give us the basic potion effects. And once again, world download will be in the description, and you can travel to all these waystone points using a waystone. Okay, now we're on here for Amalgalich in the Lost Cities. I do the same thing again, but this time if we don't have a Lycanite flying mount, we're gonna have to use potion of flight or wings, which will give us flight for 3 minutes, and create the altar and drink my potion of flight. And now I'm off and away towards the summoning flame. I don't want to get too close to take damage, so I just place some armor stands until I can't place them anymore, and then shoot it with a burial arrow and go underneath the arena. I built this arena up I built this setup about 64 blocks, so 1 stack of blocks on top of one of the skyscraper buildings, the biggest one I found. I would highly recommend it, building in the air with enough blocks so that any parasites that spawn on Amalgalich's vacuum attack doesn't suck them up, any of the ones from underneath the arena, which they would mess with you right now. As you can see, he's just pulling stuff around. My game lagged a bit because I'm in the Lost Cities and my computer can't handle it. With Amalgalich's attack, his vacuum attack, he sucked up mobs. He sucked up that Reaper earlier. He sucked up an armor stand. And if there were parasites underneath this arena, he would suck those up and bring them to where we were at. And they could possibly hurt us from down and under the arena. But with this setup, I'm just nunchucking down Amalgalich. I would recommend for Amalgalich, because of the random Lycanite mob sizes. I've been playing around this a few times. Sometimes the size and hitbox of Amalgalich prefers reach, so you might need to, instead of what I'm showing off with nunchucks, you need to use a pike, which has natural reach 2 in it, or you just hope that masterful quality gives you enough extra range to hit Amalgalich. I don't think I'm using masterful quality on these nunchucks at all. and that's about it for this fight here. It should be relatively safe as long as no parasites spawn underneath the arena and then get sucked up by his vacuum attack. And then it might be rolling RNG for the parasites that spawn on top, because at certain angles those parasites can break blocks, and it's very possible that they start breaking blocks of the arena from the above it. But as long as we don't really move from the center, well, I get hit by a Reaper there, not the worst thing to happen in... This is a pretty tame thing to happen in the fight anyways. It's just a Reaper in this Lost Cities fight. It's just hilariously easy if this is our main threat here versus the boss or in the parasites. So yeah, I guess I'm just trying to kill the Reaper. No, I didn't kill the Reaper, but I'm just back to hitting Amalgalich. None of his phases are tricky at all. They don't even block any, create any annoying visuals. No Ipian, no Reaper can really bother us too much. Our biggest worry is a big parasite that spawns above, breaking a lot of blocks, or if you build the arena wrong, or not high enough in the air that parasites spawn underneath and get sucked up. But this is pretty much it for Amalgalich. Okay, I switched to the pike here, or earlier, just to show that it works, and I would more so recommend this weapon instead to be cheesing Amalgalich with. And I just almost ran out of flight there, so you're going to have to also remember to keep up your flight too. And look, like in this example, I didn't even use armor at all. I just used 2 potion wings of strength. My weapon, armor stands, bow, burial arrows of course, and guess I'm showing off the recipe for it. And I should switch back to creative and show off that the drops have dropped. Yep, go up and through, turn on hitboxes, and there are all the drops, and XP is sitting here. And that should be about it. Yeah, we'll go back underneath. Oh yeah, same as before, just show off all the command blocks, same story. And looks like Amalgalich is one of his phases summoned undead fire there on top of obsidian, but whatever. I will connect the waystones and provide you with a warp stone in the world download. In the waystones, I'll provide all 3 Lycanite bosses, but for the Lost Cities Amalgalich, I'll provide 2 setups that you could try on. This is the setup that I use for building plus 64 blocks on top of it. Another setup, I'll do 2 stacks of blocks about 128 from sea level from the Lost Cities, but that setup was kind of dangerous because when I was trying it out, I was getting some parasite spawns from the roofs, and Amalgalich's vacuum attack was taking those. Okay, here are some additional clips. This is the setup that's built 128 blocks above sea level, which would be 63 in the Lost Cities. You won't be able to see that in vanilla RLCraft, but I know it with my mods and debugging commands enabled. Here we're just gonna, it's example like normal, just to summon Amalgalich and just do the armor stands, shoot it, and this is before I discovered that you could just drop below the hole, so I just fly over the entire arena itself. Here now, there's going to be parasites that spawned on the roof of some of the buildings and are going to be sucked in by Amalgalich's vacuum attack. You can see everything moving around now, and now a parasite's coming in, and this is what happens if you build the arena in a bad spot. Parasites on the grounds can be sucked up and they can kill ya. This is another clip done in the setup where it's 64 blocks above the building, and in this example I get a spawn of Amalgalich, which is too small for the nunchuck to hit, so I just switched to the pike to start attacking it. But there's another thing that's going to happen. There was a yellow eye that could break blocks that spawned, and it was being sucked up, but I killed it with my attack. And I'm gonna check out that area, and there's a ton of blocks that broke from it. So this shows that even though the setup that I did and cheesed it in the video before, this is the same exact setup. I got a spawn with different Amalgalich, which is a little smaller, and also a yellow eye spawned on the roof, flew up into the range of the vacuum attack and got sucked up and could have possibly killed me, but it did it in this example. This is also just another clip to remind you that you're on a time limit when a random time limit, because there in this example a simulated ender dragon spawned near the arena. Worse things can spawn around and or near the arena, and here I ran out of potion of flight, so remember to keep up your flight.